Hey guys. Okay, so I think we are live and this is my first live interview on Facebook. So I am asking you to bear with me while I get set up here. And I think I have invited Mika to join me. I'm going to be interviewing her today. She is a good friend of mine and another member of my conscious entrepreneur community. And she's here. So let's see if I can bring her in. Okay, I think she's been invited. So, yeah, really excited to be doing this. Just really wanted to introduce you to her. And hello, bring her into the space.
Hi, Caroline. How are you?
Hi,
Oh,
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good, good. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm just so excited to kind of introduce you to people and give people a little window into the world of like conscious entrepreneurship and bring more faces to our community. And so I want to introduce you, Mika, because you are actually the reason that I'm in the conscious entrepreneur community. It was about a year ago, I think now, that I
hmm
met with you on Facebook and got invited in, and you've been such an amazing support to me over the past year as well. And of course, we got to meet in person in Australia in March, which was so crazy how that happened. You know, we were at Freedom Fest, which is such an incredible event, and it ended like moments before this whole thing just like imploded in the world. So
Yes.
I feel so blessed that we were able to like have that such an amazing grounding event right before everything kind of took off in a different direction.
Yeah, it was pretty miraculous how that took place, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it
We
felt
had
very
no
meant to
idea what
be.
we were in for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, you know, I mentioned before now that you're a breathwork healer and obviously that you're in the community of conscious entrepreneurs with me, but I would love if you would just tell us a little bit more about you and also maybe explain a little of what breathwork healing actually is for anyone who doesn't know.
Sure. Yeah. So, once again, thank you so much for inviting me. And it's such an honor to be spending this time with you. And, for anybody who's watching, I'm just giving you so much love right now. The world is kind of topsy-turvy and upside down right now. And that's one of the things that has been, like you said, Caroline, just going from Australia and being in that and such a beautiful event where everything was just full of possibility and vitality and all of that, right,
Yeah.
to all of a sudden this, the lockdown mode. It was quite a jarring experience for all of us, but I have so much compassion for anybody who's still going through that. And so that's just what I wanted to start with. But yeah, my name is Mika, and I currently live in Southern California with my husband and two kids. Plus, I have two stepkids who are somewhat grown now, and so I'm kind of living the suburban mom lifestyle currently. Definitely, juggling with the online learning for the kids, and taking time for myself and all of that stuff. So one of the reasons I talk about taking time for myself is, I highly believe in self-care. It's one of the most important things for anybody. And typically, women tend to have this tendency of putting ourselves second after we see whatever is, whether it's taking care of friends, family, pets, other people. And then we put ourselves either last or at least second, right? And what I have found in this journey is it's so important for us to really take care of ourselves first and give from the overflow, have a full cup for ourselves and give from the overflow. So that's one of my passions. And one of the ways in which I practice self-care is through breath work. And so you asked me what breath work is for people who are not familiar with it. Some people think of it in terms of like an exercise or technique. there are many different ways, different breath techniques, and I kind of encompass all of it, because breath work can be so simple and it can be so in the moment. It's something that you can do in line at the grocery store. You know, we carry with us this beautiful tool, breath, at all times. And it can be as simple as taking a conscious breath, like you and I can do right now, like going an inhale and exhale. And for anybody watching this, you know, I dare to guess that most likely just by us taking a breath, you also had a conscious moment of taking a breath, right?
Mm.
So it can start just like that. It's just this sacred pause. And we can just remind ourselves constantly throughout the day. So that's one simple way that you can incorporate breath work into your life at any time. And obviously, anybody can do this. That is, you know, if we stop breathing, we leave. So, so if you're here in body listening to this, then you have this tool. But yeah, as far as more of a healing tool, other than like a grounding and a tool for presence, I have a specific method of breath work where I do with private clients and walk them through a real journey, a breath work journey.
Mm.
And, you know, it's kind of a, I hesitate to say shamanic because oftentimes people associate that with like tribal shamans and things like that. And but the idea is that we are all our own healers. We're all our
Mm.
own shamans and we have access to that. But so often we get like this thing in here gets in the way, right? Like our mind tends to just try to make everything logical and try to, you know, problem solve or get into the limited thinking around that. So my job is to guide you through a breath work that kind of like gets rid of all of this filter so that your body and soul can have a communication, because we're
Mm.
all our own healers. We're all our own shamans. So yeah, that's, you know, in a nutshell, that's what breath work is.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And I'm so glad to hear you explain it that way because I didn't know all of that. And I love, mentioning self-care, being our own healers, and building that connection between our mind, body, spirit system. Anyone who's been on my page is has been hearing all about that stuff. So I
Yes.
love, love, love how much, we run on parallel paths too. That's so
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, totally resonate with that. And just the accessibility of something. I do think a lot of times when people hear a term like breath work, or like shamanic healing or healing work in general, it's like it can feel kind of far away. And so much of what I am always trying to impart on people is like you can access it anywhere, anytime, just like you said, in line at the grocery store. It's all a matter of just like going in and choosing to be intentional about your energy or your breathing and what you want to be feeling and doing in your own space. So that's so
Yes,
cool.
yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to my light. It just went out, but oh well.
Oh well.
Whatever.
Um, so I also wanted to ask you a little bit more about the community itself and your place in it. And so, just wanting you to share about where you were before you came into the conscious entrepreneur community, and what was it that really caused you to like just go for it and really dive into that path?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So, you know, just like any mothers who have young children, I was definitely caught up in that mommy fog land, you know, where your focus is so narrow on the little young children who take all your attention. And I happily put myself in that role. You know, don't get me wrong. I wanted to stay home with my kids. I had the privilege to be able to be a stay-at-home mom, and it was beautiful. You know, the parenting aspect in life, it teaches you so much. It's such a mirror for ourselves, right? So, and you will know this if you choose to become a mother as well. um, and was joyfully in that role. However, what happens typically is when I jump into something, I'm just like tunnel vision, right? Like I'm all in. And I was all in with parenthood. And that's where I forgot to take care of myself. Once again, that self-care piece.
Mm.
And 2, 3, or 4, or 5, 6 years down the line, I was going, oh boy, like what, who am I? Like, what do I
Mm.
even want? And I had an idea of, my passions, my interests, where that's going to like benefit other people, because obviously my interests were about helping others as well. I just didn't have a clear view on what that was. And it was right around the time that I began interested in breath work. Um, uh, and also I was just feeling like I just need some space away from my kids. Like maybe I'll just go get a job at Starbucks or something, and I don't even drink coffee. But just so I have like a legitimate excuse to put my children in childcare for a little bit, so I can be with like some grown-ups and have my own identity. I mean, it was
Mhm.
ridiculous when you really calculated it after tax. Like I probably would have made $1 or $2 an hour if I had done that,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
still I was like, maybe it's worth it. And
Um,
so, that was where I was in my life. I had tried a few other things as far as creating my own business, and it just wasn't quite clicking. And, like I said, there was so much that was sort of like, I know there's something for me. I know I have some gifts. I know there's something calling for me. I just don't see the A to B. Like I have my
mm,
passions and then the prosperity that the passions are supposed to provide, right? In an ideal world. And I'm like, how
mhm.
do those two match? And that's when I found this community, and I was just floored. My mind was blown as to, wow, oh, this is how. And it required some outside of the box thinking. So,
Mm.
I stepped in with a lot of, trepidation and a lot of like, skepticism. Like, could this really be? Like, how is this really true? And and yet, there was something that kept calling me. So I said, by the time I kind of did my due diligence and figured out how to do all this, I'm like, yes, this is it. This is my family. And literally, I haven't looked back since. It is like the best of everything that I could have planned up, even. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So I guess I just want to also then go a little deeper into that and ask, what would you say is your biggest shift that you've had since you joined into this community? And what advice would you give, if any, to the people who are watching who, might be interested in change in their life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I love to do is to learn, right? As somebody, I'm an introvert. I love to take in information. I like to mull over it and shape it, and then come up with my own interpretation and belief that I would form from that learning.
Mm.
And that's how I lived my whole life. I'm an excellent student, and and I could have been a lifelong student and just left it at that. So often we're in a culture where we do reward learning.
Mm.
But I feel like what's happening, even in our society, we're moving out of the industrial age where we were creating these, somewhat of a soldiers, workers type of people who you would pour information into, and they would follow a certain set of steps
Mm.
in order to go into a certain career. And they became good soldiers in those companies because we had already trained them in the educational system of, this is how you're supposed to study, this is what you're supposed to study, this is what you're supposed to learn, and let's just test you to see if you did all that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I came from that, paradigm. And for me to step outside of that comfort zone of just learning and digesting information and kind of like, giving myself a test and like patting myself on the back and going, hey, I learned, I just wasn't, there was that next step that was missing where, I was growing and I was becoming a person that I enjoyed being with. I love being with myself, but I wasn't really giving back to the world in the sense of
Mm.
communicating what it is that I was cultivating within. And this, the Conscious Entrepreneur Collective and their culture is about sharing that and allowing every one of us in our own unique way to express it, whether it's through our words, through our writing, through our art, through our service, through whatever it is, right? And so that is where I was able to really step outside of my comfort zone and actually get the growth, the actual growth that I need, not the book smart growth, not the, analytical growth, but the actual soul growth and
Yeah.
personal development that I needed in order to like get there. That's what I got from this community. And that's, to me, in creating an impact in the world.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that's probably one of the things I love most about being in the space with like thousands of people who are doing all kinds of different things. Like you couldn't even come up with the list of all the different stuff. Like people's uniqueness is so present and so obvious. And it's so inspiring to see that.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. There's so many people from different walks of life here, like there's
Yeah.
the typical, like the coaches, the healers, the people who are like tarot card readers, for on that end of the spectrum, to people who were in construction or people who,
Mhm.
are in the equestrian culture, or, you know, just so
Yes.
many teachers,
Nurses, like
nurses.
everything.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so cool. So what would your advice be if you could offer advice to everybody today who's watching?
It's so great to have this opportunity to like give advice. And my advice is, listen to your heart. Like, you don't need somebody else's advice. Like, you are your own personal healer, you are your own shaman. And if there's something that you are feeling called towards, if there's something in Caroline that you're seeing that you resonate with, if there's something from this conversation that you got, like follow that, follow that. That is your teaching, that is your own soul guiding you. And that's exactly what we have done here, Caroline and I have done, is just we followed our path step of having that inspiration and just, you know, without any preconceived ideas, just following the next step without having to just figure out, the rest of your life, just that one next step. That's what I would have to say as far as advice. And,
Yeah.
if anybody is called to find out more about what we have here, we have this amazing 4-day workshop that's coming up that I swear I'm so excited about this, Caroline, right? Because I feel
Yeah.
like this is the first time that we've had an actual workshop to really dive into like how you're able to create something from nothing. Like if you have an inkling as to like there's something in me that can be shared. I know I have an impact in this world. I know I have a positive thing to share to the world, but I have no idea how, and I have no idea like what that would do. Like this
Mhm.
is where you get to like craft your vision. This 4-day workshop, it's anybody can join it. It's free, it's online, you can do it at your own time. But it's just going to be so great because we're going to go over different types of mindset shifts and, building a legacy, what that means, money vibes, right? Like that's one of the things, like, even though some people don't even want to think about money or say, oh, I'm not doing this for money. Like, well, we still need money in order to live. It's just the fact. So why not have something that you're passionate about support you, so that you
Mhm.
can do more of it, so you can reach more people. It's just that simple. And so, how do you create a legacy and impact on this world? Because each and every one of you has that. Each and every one of you has a unique gift to be shared with the world. So,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's
absolutely. I'm so
that's what I
excited
want.
about it too.
Yes.
And I love the idea of it being a full 4 days in a container so that,
Hmm.
you're getting all this like amazing transformational information and practice doing these things and exploring your own inner world, but you're doing it in a way that you get a real taste of the community piece too, which has been
Yes.
so huge for me. Being an entrepreneur it can get lonely
Yeah.
sometimes, and you do have to do it on your own. You've got to come up with your own stuff and be your own, light on the path. But having support and leaders and, just all that like energy of people who are also interested in helping themselves, growing, learning, and making a positive impact on the world is just like, there's nothing more encouraging than that on the
Oh, that is
path.
so
So,
true. Yeah,
yeah.
literally, I don't even do like online courses or anything like that that doesn't have a community with it. You know, like without
Yeah.
that, I know I'm nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you so much for doing this with me today, Mika. I
Oh, of
so enjoyed
course.
this
Thank
chat,
you.
and I just love connecting with you always. And I'm so glad that all these beautiful people got to meet you and learn more about you too. And so yeah, anyone, who is interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to me or Mika, or drop a comment or send a message, whatever you want to do to get in touch. And we will be more than happy to welcome you into the workshop. And
Awesome.
yeah, anything
Yeah,
else from you today, Mika, or we just wishing these people a beautiful day?
absolutely. And take a deep breath right now. Yeah, that's all I have
Yeah.
to say.
Awesome. It's amazing. When I do that, I'm always like, wow, have I not been breathing?
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
feels
There's
so
a
good.
immediate physiological change. Yes.
Yeah, so
Our
cool.
body
Well,
is so
thank you
wise.
so, so, so much.
Yes, thank
And
you.
we'll be in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All
Have a
right.
wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.